It's Happy Valley Technology in Indonesia.
I used to live in what's it called, Lantando, Blue Pool Road. Yes,
It's my neighborhood. It's my turf.
just near the. Great.
I grew up there. That's my
Lovely area.
all the best, Martyn.
Just wishing. I've got a bit of a throat problem, but apart from that. Thank you.
Okay.
In person with us, who is joining us to discuss and also talk about Indonesia's economy and also the startup ecosystem of 2023. But since my clip on earlier was not on yet, please do allow me to once again greet our friends and also the guests who are joining us online through Zoom. Once again, good afternoon and welcome to BPT in collaboration with Sandiaga Technology, Startup Ecosystem and Indonesia's Economy 2023. And I was mentioning also greeting before, Mr. Tamura Masami. And next, I would like to also greet and welcome Ibu Yuwana Rohma Astuti, the Director of Digital Economy and Governance of the Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy of Republic of Indonesia. Selamat datang, Ibu Yuwana. And now, ladies and gentlemen, today we will be discussing about technology, startup ecosystem, and also Indonesia's economy 2023. As we all know, we have all suffered and also experienced how the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic has affected various sectors, especially here in Indonesia. Therefore, we are now embracing the post-pandemic, but also in the midst of the post-pandemic of the COVID-19 condition, we can't also forget the fact that we have one overlooming condition that awaits us in 2023, which is the global recession. And now today we will be discussing further on this condition and also the uncertainties and how we can face them and also overcome them in the coming year. And we'll be discussing it with our speakers today. Will be joining me up here on stage. The first is Mr. Martyn Terpilowski, the founder and investor of Bhumi Varta Technology. And later we'll also be joined by Mr. Sandiaga Uno, the Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy of the Republic of Indonesia. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, as we begin and before we start our discussion, can I have another round of applause from everyone here in the audience and also all of us who is joining virtually. So without further ado, please do allow me to invite to come up onto the stage and also to begin our discussion session, Mr. Martyn Terpilowski, the founder and also investor of Bhumi Varta Technology. Please take a seat.
Hello.
Mr. Martyn Terpilowski, how are you today?
I have a slight throat problem, but I'm fine.
Yes, thank you very much for joining us today. And before we start to ask Martyn regarding the issues and also our further discussion this afternoon, I would like to also invite everyone to please welcome, as we have here today, as our guest, Mr. Min, the CEO of Bhumi Varta Technology. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Min, the CEO of Bhumi Varta Technology. All right, as we have here, everyone's ready and all set to start our webinar today. There are guests who are here and also we have guests joining us online. I would like to tell everyone and also invite everyone to please join in our discussion by preparing your question for later on. We'll be having a question and answer session. And Martyn, will you be open for the questions?
Any questions? No problem.
There we go. So we'll be open for any questions. Therefore, for those of you who are here, you may raise your hand later during the question and answer session, and we'll be handing you a microphone. But later, for those of you who are joining us online, we'd like to also invite you to please type down your question in the chat box that is available on the application. All right, so we'll jump into the discussion already. Martyn, we have now experienced the COVID-19 pandemic. And as we can see here with the theme of today's discussion, technology, startup ecosystem, and also Indonesia's economy, 2023, from your point of view and also your experience, probably you can, first of all, well, before we jump into that projection, please do tell us about what has Bhumi Varta technology been doing during the pandemic? What has progressed so far? Can you please tell us more?
Right. Yeah. So firstly, I would like to apologize because I do have a slight frog in the throat today. So I'll be a bit slower. Since the pandemic started, obviously it was a real challenge. A lot of companies stopped having budgets. A lot of people wanted to work from home. When you're building a new product from scratch, when you don't have your people in the office, it's very, very difficult. I understand people talk about work from home, but when you're starting from scratch and you're building something, it was a real challenge to us. So now we're finding getting people back in the office is really helping us progress much quicker than before. During COVID-19 for BVT, it was kind of business as usual. We were kind of lucky because we'd only just started. So we basically had to build our software anyway. We couldn't sell our software so much at the beginning. So we had to develop the software. So it gave us a chance basically to focus on that. And for us, it was just business as normal. And anyone who knows me will tell you that I kind of ignore the news, kind of ignore the things around me and just carry on going. It's what I always used to do in my previous job. So, you can't change things like COVID-19.
Right.
In fact, a lot of businesses really benefited from COVID-19. We weren't one of them, but what we do see now is there is other problems in the economy coming, which will affect a lot of companies. But I think what we built in the last 4 years is kind of robust.
Okay.
We don't have any of the concerns that a lot of companies have. Of course, we want to get bigger, quicker, like everybody. But, it's a process, especially what we are doing in the B2B marketplace. You don't get clients like Astra in 5 minutes. So it takes time. But I think what we've done since day one is just carry on going and try to get a product market fit with our clients.
Yes.
And now we're seeing success.
Okay. And we'll ask more and also push on how did you maintain, because you said you weren't one of the businesses who benefited from the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah.
Before that, ladies and gentlemen, also Martyn, we have with us among here who have just arrived, Mr. Virgo Erastajaya, the Director General of Survey Mapping to the Minister of Agrarian Affairs and Spatial Planning or National Land Agency, Republic of Indonesia. Welcome, sir. Selamat datang, Bapak. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. All right, Martyn. So you mentioned just now that you were one of the businesses who benefited from the COVID-19 condition. So how did you maintain the business? What ropes did you pull throughout the pandemic?
We're very good at raising money. So we didn't have to have that kind of concern about the runway. We just had to keep our costs sensible. This is why my office, as you know, is in BSD. It's not in Ashford Tower or anywhere like that. It's because it's our own money. So we have to be very careful. So I think we benefited from having cost management, not just throwing money everywhere. So yeah, we were quite in a position where we could be pretty robust. We had money, but we weren't wasting money. So we could spend it to take the business where we wanted it to be. So when COVID has ended, we are in a very good position to grow the business.
Okay. How familiar were the people of location intelligence within the past 2 years and probably the last time we had the webinar?
Sorry?
How familiar are people with the location intelligence?
Our business is pretty blue ocean in Indonesia. Of course, a lot of education.
Okay.
You spend a lot of time, we all do, our partners, some of them here today, the massive education process, because people have not used this type of software in Indonesia before. So we spend a lot of time educating. But what we find is that once we take a company like FIF as a client, we then get HSO as a client because they see the benefits of what we're providing. So once we get one government agency, we can get another government agency. So it is the reason that maybe the venture capitalists don't want to invest in the B2B model because, there's a lot of education and a lot of time spent. Average deal time is long. However, it's what I would call sticky business. Once people sign a contract with us, it tends to last longer.
Yes.
Because especially if it's enterprise software, they put in infrastructure to actually run our software on.
Yeah.
So they don't going to make a change every So I think if you look at our clientele now, it's mainly government and major corporations.
Okay.
And I think, particularly with the government, there's a lot of pressure, I think, to have local software. And because local software has not received VC funding, there are very few companies that build proper proprietary software in Indonesia to compete with American brands, to compete with Chinese brands. So I think we're in a very strong position. But of course, we've got to educate, and it takes time.
All right. And since you mentioned that the two top clientele are the governments and also the big corporations, we have here with us Mr. Virgo atau Bapak Virgo, who is a representative of the Indonesia's government. Please would like to invite Pak Virgo to please come up and join the discussion. Silakan Bapak, kami mengundang. Selamat Bapak. And here, sembari kita menunggu Bapak, silakan mohon untuk pasang clip on terlebih dahulu. So now, Martyn, we'd like to also, we have heard from your point of view from BDT, but we'd like to ask, probably you would like to also ask Pak Virgo from the government point of view as well on how the geospatial.
Where can I see?
Please sit here, Pak Virgo.
So I think one of the reasons we wanted to discuss with you today, because obviously your expertise is land, GIS, and how does the Indonesian government use geospatial software, and what are the benefits of geospatial software to the government, but also particularly BPN ATR?
Actually, BPN ATR is in charge in spatial planning and also the land registration. So actually, right now we manage more than 82 million parcels around Indonesia, all over Indonesia, and geospatial information is very beneficial, especially for us now, which partly developing, for planning, development, and so on, because we have our motto now: it's holistic, integrated, thematic, and the last one is S is spatial.
Okay.
So otherwise, we build the irrigation over there, and then we build the paddy fields in other side. So to make it holistic and integrated, we need geospatial information, and provide the, as I said before, 82 million parcels as of dates, and then we have another 4 thematic information, we call it. First one is the land tenure.
Yes.
The land tenure is the land right and title, so you know which land has what right and belong to whom. And then we also maintain the land transaction, so you can see the what do you call it? The transaction distribution.
Yep.
So when the transaction is done, meaning it's more developed or highly developed, and then also the mortgage distribution in special way. The second one is the land valuation. We have now our land value zone map in Indonesia, and then the third one is land use and the land development for permit, building permit, and etc.
Okay, and Mr. Virgo, Pak Virgo, one of the biggest challenges here in Indonesia is, of course, land rights, and of course, the use of digital and the adoption of digital technology. How was that? It comes back, of course, to the education, but how did the government step in and help and assisting in the digital adoption itself? Yes,
we're aware of that, and that's why we have our digital transformation in our organization, which includes the people, the technology, and also the data. Right now, we are struggling with. Now we are improving into 3 of those. I don't say struggling. Okay, and the top one actually is the same as Martyn said, is the human resources. Which includes the competence and also the attitude. Because we have to migrate from the manual way to the digital way. But we are not stopping, and we have our roadmap. And in our roadmap is we are now shifting from the registering organization to become a geospatial information provider organization. So that's why I'm very delightful here to be here with Martyn and with you all. And actually, we also aware that we cannot do it alone.
Yes.
And the government cannot do it alone, because we only provide, say, 4 or 5 types of of geospatial information.
Mhm.
Location, I think they have provided more types of information, and I think would be fruitful if we can collaborate, data sharing and everything, because we are also struggling with the surveying.
Yep.
Because it's very costly.
Yes.
Yeah. And,
Especially noting how wide and how big Indonesia area
yeah,
is.
right now the 82 millions is actually only 68% of
Okay.
Indonesia. So we haven't completed Indonesian yet.
So when's the target?
Uh,
100%.
if we got budget in 2 or 3 years, 2025.
If we have budget.
If we have budget.
But you were talking
And
about
if we have the collaboration, probably it could be faster.
okay, collaboration can make it faster. So my
Right.
collaboration is
Well, we can share the information, we can do the people participation, like people declare their land, their parcel boundary and everything, and they, what do you call it, and the other location intelligence from people.
okay.
And I think it would be also good for the investor in Indonesia. So in the era of IoT, now I call it IOM, Internet of Me. So if you are, for example, if you are a farmer, and you open our or probably location application, well, the parcel which come up is actually the paddy field, for example, or the potential paddy field.
So everyone can integrate yourself in.
Pecel seller or nasi goreng pecel, we can provide the most suitable place for you.
So it's designed for each and everyone, every person,
hopefully.
designed uniquely for each person. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And there you go. The key is collaboration.
Right.
Terima kasih, Pak
Terima
Virgo.
kasih.
Terima kasih. Thank you very much. And
Thank
you
you.
can now return to your seat, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Let's give a applause for Mr. Virgo Erasta Jaya. So, Martyn, the key that we were discussing before is collaboration to achieve the target and also to achieve the success. So, what kind of collaboration going forward?
Well,
can you help us with?
I think, if Indonesia wants to move towards getting things done properly,
Please do take a drink.
never anything wrong with me, and then today.
No worries. We will get well soon, though.
So I think Indonesia wants to move to, the first world status, fifth biggest economy in the world. These things have to be right. Things maybe haven't always been done right before. I think that has to change. If people want local software, I don't think anyone else is capable of doing this, because we have scale.
Yep.
We have over 150 people. If I need to get another 100 people, I can get them tomorrow. So basically, I think Indonesia really wants to have local companies building stuff and have something to be proud of. But also we can really add value by ensuring that all the land titles are safe, all the land titles are clear, and that, one of the fears of foreigners buying land in Indonesia, or not land because they can't, but companies buying land or buying assets in Indonesia, is maybe a lack of clarity on the land side.
Yes.
So I think it would be a huge benefit to Indonesia to get this done quickly. The problem maybe often is there's so many players involved, and that's one thing that's very different than I've been involved with before. I'm like, I want to do this, let me do it, and then let me get it done. I think if you've got 20 companies involved in anything, it never gets done, in my experience. So yeah, I would love to collaborate with VPN. I think we are the only people capable of delivering the project in Indonesia. I think we talked about how to do it, whether it's a service contract or anything. I don't think any other company can do the service and get paid on delivery. So again, of course, it would help Indonesia as a country, and of course, it would build the profile of our company, which is, we plan to take this Indonesian company to the Philippines and Thailand, and you can't do that unless you've got a very good client base already.
Yes.
So to be able to turn around and say, oh, by the way, we've done all the land titles in, the biggest economy in Southeast Asia, kind of makes it much easier for them.
Okay.
So yeah, that's basically our strategy. We'd love to work together. We hope we can, and move to the next level.
And help achieve the target within 2-3 years.
Of course.
Achieve 100%.
We can move things fast.
Yes. But
The problem
collaborate,
is
yeah.
we can move things fast. You have a piece of paper, I'll sign it next week.
Like working together in collaboration. Oh, but Martyn, besides the clientele and the client list, what about the talent pool here in Indonesia?
Sorry.
The talent pool, achieving it.
Listen, I've had no real problems. I think the biggest
You had no real problems, but what are fake
the
problems?
biggest problems become maybe lack of loyalty.
Oh, okay,
During
something to note.
COVID-19, nobody ever left, but that's because I never fired anyone and I
Right.
paid everyone full salaries and paid everyone THR. And of course, when things leave, people will move for a small amount of money, right?
Right.
Very different to Japan, for example, where I lived for 12 years. We just didn't move companies. We had a loyalty to our bosses as long as they were good to us, and we worked together to take the business forward to where we wanted to go.
But speaking of loyalty and also the businesses, there's also the global phenomenon of quiet quitting, and then also the great quitting and great resignation. What are your take on that?
Yeah, we've lost people this year. It's been different. I think the talent pool's there, but you've got to have the right people in the right job.
Okay.
I think Min's come in to help me because I don't have the technological experience. So Min's come in to sort it out more, where he can say, this guy's good, we need to promote him. This guy's not so good, because I'm not the person who can necessarily manage that. I can do the talks like this, and I can assure we have money, but I can't always run the tech side of it. So I think there's a lot of talent here. I think getting those people in the right places and making sure they feel valued is a very important to making sure that you can take the business forward.
Okay. And going forward, it is said that one of the ultimate VVT's vision is to become Indonesia's #1 tech company. What are the ropes, and also what are your tips and tricks in achieving that?
Right, it depends what you call in tech. I'm talking deep technology.
Yeah.
There isn't many, to be absolutely honest. We've got Node Flux here today, Adiguna, who's over there. But again, people don't know Adiguna as well as they know 10-minute grocery delivery companies.
Right.
These guys are AI experts building real good software.
Yeah.
So we talk a lot, but there isn't that much competition in the deep tech because it's very hard to get the funding. So you've got to have your own money, basically. We haven't had venture capital investors. Adiguna also has faced that issue, right? So I think we can become the biggest quite quickly or quite easily, but we want to go beyond that, and we want to take it to Southeast Asia and become like the first Indonesian company that's fixing problems in Thailand, Philippines, Vietnam.
And by gathering all those clients and clientele, and of course the talent pool.
It's all about, when we started, it was about product market fit.
Yes.
You go and talk to somebody, they've never heard of this before.
Okay.
So we had to absolutely assure that the client could understand what we were doing. Once you get Astra on board, once you get VPN on board, BSSN, people start taking you a lot more seriously.
Right.
And that was absolutely our biggest challenge, was getting product market fit. Everything else has fallen on. And I've never had any fears about this business, but that was the struggle, getting people to believe we could solve the problem.
Okay.
I mean, these guys are geospatial guys, so they understand.
Yes.
But a lot of our clientele, even Astra, have not really used GIS software before. So we spent, at the time I thought they were messing us around because it took like a year, but now we've got multiple businesses within that company.
Okay.
So things have become easier.
All right. And that's why you said that the education keeps on going.
Yeah, of course.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and of course guests, we will be having question and answer sessions, so you can join in our discussion. But later on, we'd like to also invite everyone here to, of course, welcome our next speaker who has just arrived today. So I would like to ask for your patience. And once again, I would like to remind everyone to please put your mobile phones on silent mode to ensure for a smooth process of discussion. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is a discussion. Therefore, I would like to invite you to please raise your questions. For those of you joining us online, please do type it down in the chat box available. And for those of you who are here, before we really jump into the question and answer session, let me check. Are there anyone here who would like to ask a question already or have a question in mind? All right, well, you can still think about it and then save it for later, because later on we'll be having a question and answer session. So while we are waiting for our second speaker, which is Mr. Sandiaga Uno, the Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy of the Republic of Indonesia, who is preparing himself to join us today, who's joining us. Oh, ready, Minister? Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to Minister Sandiaga Uno, the Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy. Sandy, apa kabar? Please take a seat. And so, once again, please give a round of applause to Mr. Sandiaga Uno, Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy, Republic of Indonesia. Buat tepuk tangannya, Bapak dan Ibu. So, Pak Menteri, we have here people who are joining us offline, but they're also joining us online through Zoom, and we are here just discussing about, the importance of collaboration between institutions. But we'd like to also ask your view here, Mr. Sandi, and also Mr. Terpilowski. Martyn, you may ask a question to Pak Sandi as well, since this is a discussion. But since the theme here we have today is technology, startup ecosystem, and also Indonesia's economy next year, what are your views on the theme, first of all?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me in this very prestigious program, and good to see you again.
Yeah, we both had a haircut today.
Yeah, you got a haircut. I haven't done my haircut.
He's asking for a compliment, Minister.
Oh, it's a very nice.
Ah, yeah, thank
You
you.
got to read between the lines here.
Your company valuation will follow my company valuation.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, there you go.
That will be positive news for me.
And speaking of good news, what kind of good news are probably projections that you have? We're talking about.
I am quite optimistic. I think we are going into turbulent times. So when you are in turbulent times, when you go into the aircraft, what does the stewardess told you to do?
Embrace for impact.
No, not yet.
Oh, not yet.
Buckle up.
Buckle up first. All right.
Brace for impact is when
Later on.
really bad.
I'm prepared for the worst here.
He's enjoying it. So you're like way ahead of me. But thanks for innovation.
Right.
My team and I, Ibu Yuana, please, I would like to introduce Ibu Yuana Rohtuti, Director for Digital Economy Governance. She's here with me. We are telling everybody to buckle up.
Okay.
Because it is a situation of VUCA, the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. But at the same time, this is actually the most opportune time for you to take opportunity.
How so?
Because a lot of people are cutting expenses that actually quite necessary for market share, and it's the time opening for you to attack. I started my business 25 years ago, and I'm having goosebumps because I can feel that the situation is almost similar to 25 years ago when I started my business.
Okay.
And for people in the room as well as in the Zoom, you should really go into the basic fundamental of your business and look at how you could reap the rewards for taking the opportunities.
Okay.
And for you, especially, because your business is in the right space and technology and location-based solutions that is really needed by a lot of
course, yeah.
businesses. In particular, some of the data that you generate will be very valuable.
Yeah.
And this is something that a lot of people kind of miss during this turbulent time. They don't want to focus on the essential, and this is the time for us to take the opportunity.
For sure. I mean, at the moment, there's a lot of people very stressed about the situation. I'm kind of less stressed. I agree what you're saying. I think if you've got a good company, good fundamentals, now is the opportunity. Number one, staffing costs will come down.
Yes.
Because the VCs will stop throwing money at people. So, I mean, that's been one of my challenges, right? Losing a lot of staff because I can't pay salaries to companies that don't need to make money. So I think that's one kind of positive for us. Also, we're not leveraged. So again, it's a bit calmer. I mean, of course, it's stressful because a lot of potential clients don't have budget again.
Yep.
So we had Corona and nobody had budget. And now Corona's ended. And we have this, particularly the startup companies have no budget again. But we are quite lucky because our clientele has been people like Astra. It's been people like, XXI Cinema. And these guys are more established businesses.
Yeah.
So we found it quite, we've been in a kind of safe environment because maybe when we started our business, I was explaining before that we're a blue ocean company.
Yeah.
So we really had to educate people. And these bigger companies with senior management experience were more willing to listen to us.
Yes.
In the same way that the BPN and the BSSN people were more willing to listen to us. So I think we're quite robust. I'm going to take this as an opportunity to take the business to the next level.
Yeah.
We're not reliant on external funding, so the potential is there.
Yes.
And I think Indonesia still remains, one of the most, it's probably going to be one of the biggest economies in the world, So I think the demographics are the same. Nothing's changed in that respect. Like during COVID, I was the person who just ignored it.
Yeah.
I just nothing's going to change. In my life, nothing's going to change. I'm going to achieve this.
Yeah.
And I've done it in the past. People said, you can't do that. You can't do that in Japan. I did. So I just want to, keep going. But of course, you have to be careful.
Right.
But I've always been careful.
Yes.
You've been to my office. It's in BSD.
Right.
I don't have fancy offices. I've been careful with spending money.
Not your office?
No, of course not. I can't afford it, boss.
I know this is Erwin's office.
So yeah, I think the fundamentals in Indonesia is saying opportunity remains. If you've not been running a healthy company,
Right.
you're going to have problems.
Okay.
But,
And then it's now goes down to grabbing the opportunities that are there.
And one of the opportunities that he mentioned, maybe I need to underline this, is human capital.
Yes.
The tendency of all business when things are going turbulent,
Yeah.
going to be uncertain, they try to cut costs.
Yes.
And the first cost that they're cutting is the human resource cost, which is completely wrong. This is actually the time that you need to really look at your staffing and your talent pool. And you need to make sure that the talent pool, especially the good ones, stay.
Okay.
And in fact, you need to add because there are so many talents available
Right.
out
of course,
And-
some companies have just laid off 25-30% of the staff,
Right.
but they're still spending money on influencers, huge amounts of money, not on the core business. Again, it's still not on the core business. It's not on what's important. I've just brought Mr. Min, my new CEO, into the business. It's because I need to invest now when I'm talking to guys like VPN. I need to be absolutely sure that I can back up what I say.
Yeah.
If I mess up with VPN or I mess up with Astra or I mess up with the tourism industry, no one will take me serious. No one will take me serious again. So I've put my neck on the line basically, and said I'll deliver whatever you want. I'll deliver because I think I can do that. But you have to have the right people behind you.
Okay, the right people behind you. But Minister, I already asked Martyn regarding the global phenomenon about the global quitting from the talent pool. And do you think this will be a big problem here in Indonesia regarding this condition? Because there's also the lack of loyalty.
There's two types of quitting. Layoffs,
Yep.
which is actually driven
Right.
by people cutting their workforce, or quiet quitting.
Yeah.
Now, you read about this. Gen Z, in particular, and millennials, they're in the office, but they're actually quietly not working.
Yes.
And I see it in the government office a lot.
Okay. Okay. We'll say that for another story, Minister, but go
Right.
ahead. Nevertheless, yes.
You're talking about this.
Yes.
Quiet quitting is actually not true when you look at the recent data. Because Gen Z and millennial, and I encourage you to look at the IDN media research just out, that they want to produce, but when their work environment, when their working atmosphere is not conducive, and they're not being involved in the decision making, they're not being asked about what conditions that they want to change, they become very, very disenfranchised. They got disassociated and they don't want to be involved.
Yeah.
And that's where they're starting to quietly
Pull
stepping
them
back,
out. Yeah.
and then they're actually not producing, they're not productive. So with the data, I'm now making sure that in the ministry and all in our ecosystem, that these millennials are engaged, these Gen Zs are engaged. You ask them questions. You tell them to be involved in the projects. You ask them to throw good ideas. And you ask them
to participate and contribute.
Am I doing the right thing?
Right.
What's your input?
Yes.
And this is the problem. Like people like Yuga and Yono, they're older. They don't want to get inputs from younger generations. While younger generations have probably fresh ideas and have not been tried before, and it is actually the time to try a new idea because we're in turbulent time. So again, this is a very, very opportune time for you to take risks. There's not that much money available. One thing, good, because your competitor doesn't have access to money. But for you, when you're understand your core business, it's actually for you also to repitch your idea and focusing on your core business.
I mean, that, to be honest, that's all we've ever done. We decided what we're going to do, and we haven't changed at all, because I agree with you. This pivoting here and pivoting there, it's not going to solve anything. You know, you're moving from this. We decided we were going to build the biggest location intelligence company in Southeast Asia. We're already the biggest one in Indonesia, and the only one capable of doing major projects, actually. So we stuck to it. But we've run, as I said, we've run it since day one in a more proper business way. You know, we've grown fast. Yeah, like over 150 now. People, like when you talked at my event, it was 100 people. Yeah. So the growth is there.
You're now at
150.
150, you're growing.
We're still hiring, mate. We're not giving up.
A lot of people are actually laying off people and they're
hiring.
But the difference during this period of time, they haven't been watching money. We've been watching since day one because it's ours. So the other partners in BBT are my close friends, or as you know, some family offices here, senior people who, you know, they don't want me to throw their money around. They want to act like a serious business. So we don't, you know, that's where we've been careful since day one. I've made mistakes also with staff. Maybe, I don't speak the language, so I haven't, maybe some people have not engaged with me. And maybe some people have left because they didn't feel they were engaged properly. I can certainly take some responsibility for that. That's why we tried to bring in new management. Now we have daily stand-up meetings, people who bring people in, and, you know, every day, you know, Min worked at BCG before, so the kind of the rules are, you know, you bring people in, you engage people, all that kind of thing that I probably wasn't doing because I'm too busy.
Can you share what changes that you have seen or experienced firsthand from the changes?
Because we lost some people, and some of it was because they got offered silly money by startups. But some of it was because they felt that they've been there for 3 years and no one would give them a pay rise or something. Now, unfortunately, when you get to the size we are, and I'm responsible for commercial and financial, you have these problems because these people don't know they've never talked to me.
Right. This
has been made even worse by the COVID thing, because some of them, I knew everyone's name until we got to like 40 people. But in the last 2 years, I don't know everybody's name anymore. It's too big.
That's why you tell them to wear this.
A name tag. There's an example.
I lead by example. I put my name tag because I want.
You call it again. All right.
Can you read? Is that the right name?
That's right.
Okay. When I meet younger team member, I would want to read their name because, you know, I have limitations. I don't remember all the names. Directors, I remember. Deputies, I remember. But coordinators, sub-coordinators, and then we have younger staff that we do a stand-up meeting. We call it quick huddle. So we do 20, 30 minutes max of getting people involved. And if they want to say something, they don't need to present. No need to prepare a deck or something, but just throw ideas. We have a weekly session like that. We have town halls every now and then. We invite them and let the younger generations, younger team members to contribute.
All right. And so, Mr. and also Martyn, right now, since we have agreed that we should ask the younger generation to contribute fully to the company and moving forward, especially in the post-COVID-19 pandemic and also the recovery. We would like to also know from your perspective, since you're the Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy Minister, what is the projections, especially regarding Indonesia's tourism and international tourism?
Okay. tourism is in the right spot, in a good spot today, comparatively to.
Yes, of course.
We're on track to meet our target. We're looking at the numbers of between 2.5 million foreign tourist arrival, but more than 800 million of movement of domestic tourists.
Okay.
So the domestic market have really been able to carry the burden,
Yep.
doing the heavy lifting. So next year, the trajectory continues. Indonesia's economy will continue to grow. Yes, there's global recessions, and the chance of global recessions now at 82% plus.
Yep.
But for Indonesia, it's less than 3%. That means we are still growing, but the rest of the world will have some economic issue. We need to refocus on our strategy. Our strategy will focus on quality and sustainability type of tourism. We like people who come for a longer stay, better economic impact to the local community.
Yes.
And we're no longer chasing big numbers,
Yes.
but we're chasing probably the higher type of net worth
Yeah.
individuals who can come in. And we would like to invite more nomads, digital nomads, by our offering of new visa.
Yeah.
And we just launched a couple of days ago this Indonesia's second home visa that offers up
So you don't
to
know him, right? I've got friends actually asking me, ex-investment bankers,
Yep.
always, because they see me with you, they always go, can you ask about this? I'm like, I don't think you asked the minister directly, mate.
Now
You
we
know?
can start right now the session.
So it's
Yeah.
going ahead, is it?
Yeah, it's going ahead, and things have changed. In the past, we rely on Chinese tourists, but up until today, the Australians have been really.
Yeah,
Very-
I'm not sure that's a good thing.
Which is the great thing when it comes to numbers. Of
So
course.
far,
Yeah.
it's been quite positive. We have good stream
Yeah.
of tourists from Australia, and then the localized
Yeah.
impact, because Singapore and Malaysia is number one and number two and number three, and then India.
Okay, India
India was never thought to be like a
destination.
a potential market, but now India is number four,
Okay.
and UK and the US between fifth and sixth. So we jumped during the pandemic, and that's one of the the pandemic is very negative
Yeah.
impact on, but at least there is some silver lining, is that we now, in terms of the travel tourism development index, we jumped 12 positions.
Yes.
We're now number 32. We overtake Malaysia, Vietnam, and Thailand.
Is it still Bali based?
Bali is 50 to 60%, but we are now growing beyond Bali. There is Danau
The priority
Toba,
destinations.
Borobudur, Labuan Bajo, Mandalika, and Likupang, and then we have other
Yeah.
destinations like Belitung, Bromo, Semeru, Tanjung Lesung, Varta, and Wakatobi, Raja Ampat.
And
So many
numerous
other
other
new
locations.
destinations.
Right, Minister. But besides the numbers, Martyn, we would like to also dig in on how to enhance the experiences of the tourists coming here to Indonesia to various locations.
Yeah.
How can, digital technology can play a part in that?
Yeah, I mean, I was saying that about 3 months ago, there was an event run by the Education Ministry in Borobudur. What was it called? Indonesia Bertutur.
Oh, yes.
So we basically,
With Pak Nadiem.
we did the app for it. So when people came, they knew which restaurants to go to, they could geotag, so they could see who's been where, all that kind of thing. I was maybe things like when you arrive in Bali, this could also be very beneficial. So you actually, when people arrive in Bali, as well as doing pedalingi, they get, download an app where they can actually find, you can keep all the data, so where these people go, where their visiting patterns are, so you can have much more data than you currently have. Because at the moment, my dad arrives in Bali, he goes through pedalingi, but no one uses it in Bali anymore.
Right.
So you lose track of him, basically.
Yeah.
But actually being able to actually look at how that clientele works, I think can be very beneficial for tourism as well. And we got very good reports from, this was only for a 3-day event, but what we were able to do was to tell people, we could get the reaction of the people, where they went to, where they were spending money at, all this kind of thing.
Good data.
It's good data, and we've got the back end already. So we built it. I mean, we have proper geospatial software built proprietary in Indonesia. I don't think there's anyone else who can do that. So yeah, that kind of thing can really enhance the tourism industry. I mean, having that data, allowing, and you can even look at where the origin, if it's a domestic tourist, we can look at the origin. So, I mean, this is, I think, way beyond what a lot of the government's using at the moment, because it's, because we've had the budget to build it from scratch, and we've built software without having to always check, if we can spend this money. The reason we've done quite well is because we have our own financing to build to a certain level. So now people, when we first talked to like certain companies, even Astra, they said, "Oh, we can do that ourselves." It won't be as good, and let's use economies of scale here. That's all we do. We don't sell anything else. We're not doing any other businesses. We focus on what we can do. So I think everybody has this idea of doing themselves, but I'm yet to see that. It's a lot of bluster.
That's why you need collaboration.
Well, collaboration is a strange word. It usually means don't pay for in Indonesia.
You don't pay, but you get benefit.
Well, yeah. Sometimes we talk to clients and they go, "You know what it's like, Martyn, we should collaborate." And I'm like, "You mean you don't have to pay me?" Right? That's often the case. Yes. Of course, I tell them that's not the way it works in the English dictionary. That's not what collaboration means. But yeah, you do need to work with people who can do things. There's things I can't do. There's things I can do. I can only do geospatial software. A lot of big companies have tried to do it, but they're still buying the mainframe from the US or China, and they're spending a lot more money, and they're white labeling it. So it's just costing them a lot of money. Then they have to put the data in themselves. They have to collect the data. It just doesn't make any sense. And then, when people, for example, go for tender here, often they're not even a geospatial company. They're just getting the tender and then trying to fix it. I know this because they come to us to fix it.
Yeah.
So there's a middleman that doesn't need to be there,
Okay. Minister, from hearing Martyn's great, understanding of how the spatial technology and also the digital technology can help the tourist experience in Indonesia, what are your takes on that? And how has the digital technology helped so far?
Tremendously, because the pandemic accelerated the use of
Adoption,
technology.
yes.
I think more than 50% of business processes within the travel and creative economy industry is now within the digital. We are making sure that we facilitate transformations for micro, small, medium enterprises into the digital economy. We have programs such as Bangga Buatan Indonesia, that's onboarding 30 million small, medium enterprises and micro enterprises into the digital platform. And we push collaborations. We don't have a big budget, but we have small budget. But if we collaborate, for instance, with technology providers, they would be able to reduce their costs for promotion.
Yes.
Because being in collaborations with the government, you get sudden endorsement, and suddenly you're up to the 40 million ecosystem that the government policy is. It doesn't mean that we don't bring anything to the table. We bring job creations. We're creating 1.1 million new jobs, good quality jobs this year, and the target for 2024 around 4.4 new jobs, and that's basically using mostly technology.
Okay. And Minister Sandiaga, you have also mentioned Gerakan Bangga Buatan Indonesia, which focuses on UMKM or MSMEs here in Indonesia. As we all know, it's the backbone of our economy, 97% more. How are they doing in the post-COVID-19 recovery period right now, the transition?
It's like a K-curve recovery, Sarah. People who have embraced technology and been able to transform their business into a digital platform see their business up and up.
Yes.
But people, and this is unfortunately a lot of them, have not been able to change their mindset or have not been able to access technology or the know-how or the training. They are seeing their business coming down. So it's like K, and this is something that we want to change. Our focus is the concept of no one left
behind.
behind. Everybody has to be all on board with the digital economy. This is an unstoppable trend. Also with the health, sustainability, we never look back. Post-pandemic, we will want to recover stronger, recover together, but also recover
Okay.
because this is something that I think the pandemic has taught us
Yeah.
a great lesson.
Yes. Agree, Minister. So, Martyn, let's just ask your take on the MSMEs and also the condition here in Indonesia. You have mentioned that, well, of course, your target clientele are the big corporations, also governments. But how about the small and medium, micro-sized?
Yeah, one thing that Sandy
businesses
said
here?
that's quite interesting, that a lot of the big companies actually don't want technology, don't want technology because they've been so successful before without it. So often that's a real process in educating those people. So I've talked to some owners and CEOs of some of the biggest companies in Indonesia, and their argument is, well, we've never done it before. Why do we need to do it now? So again, that's been an education process. There's lots of smaller companies that are also targeting. We are now selling reports to like single reports, which is, you know, the one Warung who wants to open, which obviously couldn't afford our software. We just find that the big corporations, you know, they have the budget, and then the ones that we can convince and we can educate, they understand what we're trying to achieve, and therefore we can work together to achieve something. Sometimes in the smaller corporations, especially the startup companies, they're backed by people who make the decisions, so they don't necessarily have the ability to act. So it's more difficult in the, like I would say, the mid-sized companies to get things done. But I think there's a lot of opportunity at the bottom,
Yep.
and a lot at the top. And I think, you know, as time goes, as Sandy said, it will become an unstoppable trend. So people can't just say, oh, all right, they use that, yeah, they use this, they use this. You're not just going to carry on doing the same thing. So everything's the same in life. Things change over time. You know, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, nobody had a mobile phone. It will change.
Yep.
You know, people might not, my dad didn't have one till about 8 years ago. So I've got two. So yeah,
Plus this.
so things change. I mean, but the older generation often maybe didn't change so quickly. But I think overall, as business gets bigger, people see the benefits of using software, technology, location analytics, to build Indonesia to this, you know, 4th or 5th biggest economy in the world. I think we'll see mass adoption actually, and that's why I got involved in the marketing.
Okay, so Minister, going forward, in your opinion, how can the MSMEs benefit from the digital technology, especially the geospatial and also the big data that there's available? Although, of course, it needs time to adopt.
First, you need to educate them about the use of technology, and in particular location-based. And because location-based, you'll be able to get good data. Because let me say this in bahasa.
Please do.
Posisi menentukan prestasi.
Yeah. Awesome. Yes.
Your location determine your success,
Of course,
right?
you can do an advert for us. That's pretty good.
That's an old saying here.
So we'll adopt that.
So that number
Right.
one, micro small and enterprise. That's why we're doing a lot of training. We're doing, but they need to commit. It's not just a half-day training and then they go back, but this is like a boot camp, and they need to make sure that they want it. Once they want it, then we provide them with the training, mentoring. Secondly, it's marketing. We need to get them to sell through technology, because this is, like I said, it's an unstoppable trend.
Yes.
I just got back from a YouTube conference on the Works Award, and we have the data that on a screen now, YouTube is taking 57% of the screens in terms of content, with their news, shorts, versions, and stuff like that. So marketing,
Pusing.
we
Kepala banget soalnya ternyata.
enterprises to adopt digital marketing. And then fifth aspect is in terms of how we could get them access to funding, access to finance. And this is again being facilitated by digital, there's fintech, there's crowdfunding, crowdsourcing, digital banking is being made the applications for loans a lot easier.
Right.
Payments and fintech would be a huge opportunities for micro, small, and medium enterprises. And I'm quite optimistic. And I think 2045 Indonesia will be the fourth largest economy of the world, will be achieved through digital collaboration. And that means not that you're not paying, but actually you're lowering
Working
the cost,
together, yeah.
getting the cost and getting your economy more efficient, building the infrastructures, investing in human capital, and then we will get there. $27,000 GDP per capita. This is
Beneficial.
what we're trying to achieve in the next 2020.
It's about efficiency. There is a reason that in the US and Europe, people do use, GIS, location analytics software, because it allows them to make better decisions quicker. And it allows them to cut out a lot of the surveys themselves all the time. So, and this is a huge business in the US. There's 75 companies doing what we do. So, but again, as you say, you've got to educate them and get them on board. And what we're finding, the more we get on board, the easier it becomes. Because, it's actually quite a small economy here, as in number of people, number of players.
Yes.
I was in Japan for many years, but I didn't get to know all the top 10 people or the top 20 people. Whereas here, you tend to if you know one or two.
Yep.
All right. So you've got to really educate those people, get those people on board. They get involved. What we've actually done that so far with a few. Once you get those guys on board and they get on the train of, like you're saying, technology is an unstoppable force. I think then you've got huge potential in your business.
Okay. When we speak of great potential, Martyn, probably can also give your take and your views on this. There's also the great risk that we, of course, have to mitigate as well. What are the risks that lies there?
Sorry,
The great risk.
The risk.
The risk.
the risk of.
The digital adoption of the.
Oh, right, there is. I think it's less. I mean, there's been days in the last few years when I don't think there's a huge risk in digital adoption. I thought the question was risking people not taking it up. But in digital adoption, I mean, obviously there's issues regarding privacy. People have got to be, we use data, but we use anonymized data. So unless it's actually a particular app, like the one with the education minister, where they actually log on because they want to share their data. So there is some questions around privacy, which we've been, with new laws coming out, that people have actually come to me and said, no, the trouble is you guys are collecting all this data, and we might not want you to know this. So that is a challenge. But I think, it's going to help everybody. So every company who's maybe making this comment is going to benefit their business by using technology, by using data. I can't see any huge risks in data. I think the bigger risks is everyone trying to do one thing, and maybe in technology, instead of going to a wider scope. Everybody's doing payment systems, for example. Why don't we look at other opportunities? Because I think there's so many opportunities in technology here that have been left behind because people are looking at the easy options. Maybe the easy options is where you can get money quicker. It's very hard to get money for traditional businesses in the same way it is to get money for startup companies. So, that's a potential risk, and that's why a lot of companies at the moment have got some concerns because they've thrown a lot of money at something and it's hard for them to actually make money from it. So you've got to have robust software, robust company, something that people really need and something that will change the country. And I think if you've got that, you're okay.
Okay, so really answering the needs of the people. And Minister Sandy, regarding the risk that I was mentioned before, especially regarding the data and also privacy risk. Of course, the government has spoken several times, but probably can you please tell us more on how going forward this can be mitigated?
Yeah, we're way underinvested in cybersecurity. If anybody wants to start a business,
That there is a need to go, yes.
Has to be within the cybersecurity space. I'm investing big time on my portfolio. Not me, but my money managers, because here in Indonesia is you're now getting more and more ecosystems on board into the digital ecosystems, and you need to make sure that you have the cyber protections. You need to protect your data. You need to make sure you're protected against hackers.
Yes.
And people who want to badly damage your business or your reputations. And we as a government also have to be very, very, I guess, innovative
Yeah.
in terms of how we could create more security around our systems, because we are actually having 40 million people to service, and we cannot afford to let our service down due to cyber attacks.
Especially when we think about how digitally connected we are to one another and also our data. All right, Minister Sandy and also Martyn, we will now have the question and answer session because we have arrived at 5 p.m. So if there's any questions from the room, please do. May I see a raise of hands? All right, we see a couple of questions, but for those of you who would like to ask a question joining us online, please remember to type in your question and also write down to whom the question is addressed to. So from here, probably we can help with the microphone. We can start from the participant where it is here. Please do mention your name.
But interesting for me today, about Sandy, 30 years ago, but Sandy was a young business person, and I was an analyst in a security company. Today, I'm an asset manager.
All right.
Hi, nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you, Mr. Chang.
Now, the question I had for Martyn is that the company is a tech company, and you made several interesting points about tech companies. Now, I'd like to hear these, how are you different from those several tech companies that are highly visible in the market? A couple of companies that have been listed, and we've got one currently about to be publicly listed. Please have your views on it. How are you different from them? And tell us a bit about the funding market, what you are facing, and also how are your funding situation in terms of your plans are, or do you sort of continue to the funding sort of privately, or you will take the same route these bigger tech companies to go for public list?
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. David Chang. Can I have a big round of applause? Okay.
The first part is we're quite different because of the way we're funded. So, if you're we're not chasing valuation only. So we have to build a software which is robust. The barrier to entry is high. So, and nobody's really interested. I mean, I think Sandy's right about cybersecurity. I would invest as well. But there isn't loads of startups doing cybersecurity because you can't get the money.
Yes.
No one wants to do B2B. And that's the issue. And I think it's a real problem. And I've been saying this for 3 or 4 years. When I came here, I couldn't understand the amount of opportunities in deep technology in Indonesia is crazy. Well, people just want to turn around, start a company, be a serial entrepreneur, and that's what they want. So it's all about valuation rather than the technology. So where a lot of these companies, the problem is that they've never made money. And it's going to be hard for them to make money. I mean, this is not me being rude or anything. It's just very, very hard because you've got a feeding frenzy where there's always been money available. I guess one of the benefits has been, even though we have our own resources, we've never had that. So right now, I'm not sat there thinking, oh, I need to save money now. I'm expanding the business. So we haven't been on a purely valuation game. My plan is to do, at the moment, we are continuing to raise money, not raise money, but we are continuing to be funded privately. However, some of the private people are very big people, but they're personal friends, and their strategies are the same. They're older, they run some of the biggest hedge fund managers in Asia. They run businesses. They want to see numbers. They don't want to see losses. They want to see me get in the right place. So, of course, our valuation is nowhere near these guys. But the problem for a lot of these guys is where's the money going to keep coming from? Whereas I want to build my business on concrete, not on sand. Right? You're seeing things built on sand when things go 75% down in public markets. And I've worked in public markets before. It doesn't make sense to these people. So institutions are not going to buy into mass loss-making companies, however big they are. Certainly not foreign institutions. So when I look at the long-term outlook of my company, is get more revenue first, and get more product market fit, get the big boys in, get BPN in, get the tourism ministry in, get more Astra companies in, get the big, Bluebird, Wings, all these guys we're talking to. Get those guys in. And then I've already talked to your old company, Happy Montoro's son. We've already had a meet. I've already talked to Saratoga discussing our long-term business because they speak the same language as me. They don't. When I talk to VC guys, they say, "Oh, what are unique economics? What's your runway? What's your GMV?" No one's ever heard this in the listed market. This is a concept that's been made up by a lot of people in the last few years. It's just not. If I talk to my biggest partner, and he runs like billion, like well over $10 billion, well over, and he doesn't understand those terms. So when people speak in that way, they're endangering the business in general because they're only looking as straight as interest rates were going up. A lot of these guys were going to have problems. I'm sorry to say, half of these guys obviously don't have economists in their companies because my dad's an engineer and he knew interest rates were going up. So of course we don't have the valuation at that level. But what we do have is we can privately fund the company ourselves for now. We have a story that we can profitability and then talk to the big boys, the Saratogas of this world, who speak the same language as me. And then I can go to the private market, the public market, and I can get crazy money because I know all the people. In Japan, for example, I know all the major institutions. Ontario Teachers Pension Fund, all these people we have connections to through our partners. So our business is totally different model than most startups. So of course I cannot announce 10 billion valuation. I can't announce $500 million valuation. But is that real? See how real it is next year when they have to revalue. I mean, because it's never actually, it doesn't make sense to anyone who's an economist. It doesn't make sense to anyone who has worked in real financial markets. And as you will know, David, working in real financial markets, it's very hard to, maybe in Indonesia, these guys still buy this because it's proud, and you've got to invest in Indonesian companies. But the problem is, if you want to grow this economy and grow this stock market, you need foreign institutions coming in.
Okay.
You need Marubeni coming in. You need Ontario Teachers Pension Fund coming in. They ain't buying stuff, never made a dollar ever, and which is losing more money now than it did 20 years ago. It's just not going to happen.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think that's where we're different.
All right. Thank you very much, Martyn, for the answer. Can I have another round of applause for Mr. David Cheng? And are there any other questions in the room to the committee?
For those of you who don't know David is like the guru
There you go.
of public market. So I read a lot of his stuff, not as many these days because nobody sent it to me anymore. But yes, it's good to reconnect with you.
Thank you for being here with us, Mr. Cheng. And I hope Pa Sandi is still a young minister as well, a young businessman, but a young minister right now. But anyways, let's continue with the question and answer session. And this, Mr. Sandi, is for you. It's from Laura Ramli, who is joining us online. Hello, Laura. Thank you for the question. Laura asked, has Indonesia prepared a solution deal with the recession in 2023? Are there any tips for the community to deal with this?
Okay. Let me give you the lay of the land. 97% of Bloomberg survey, the economy said that Indonesia will not go into recession. It's only 3%, which is like probably completely pessimistic. We are looking at a growth of a 5 handle next year. Some are more in the upper 5, some are lower 5, but I think those are the numbers that we looked, Laura. So we are not, and I believe, going into a recession, but we have to prepare. And how do we prepare against recessions? First, recessions is defined, and David knows this better than me, is a 2 quarters, consecutive quarters of negative growth. So we're still growing at 5% next year. We're not having recession, but maybe the rest of the world would be having some difficulties with slowing down economies, with inflations. So we need to look at what sort of like impact it would be to our economy. So I see probably some of the risk on exports numbers. some because of inflation's buying power, consumptions will probably see some struggles. But on a big ticket item, especially on fast-moving consumer goods, I think it's continued to be robust. I think there is some moderations in terms of growth next year, but the big names, I guess the big 20 blue chips will continue to grow very healthy next year. I think jobs will continue to be created. People are seeing the political issue in 2023, but I'm an alumni of 2017 elections and 2019 elections. It's actually buying opportunities. People are scared, but actually it's very positive months after the election. So I guess you need to look at companies, good companies with capable management, with track records that is a reputable track records. If you are an SMEs, when you're talking about creative economy, the three subsectors that will continue to grow is fashion, cosmetics. I think it's gonna grow even faster. Culinary businesses. I saw Kopi Penangan opening up their branch in Kuala Lumpur, and next week they will go with me to open the first branch in London. So they have the money. Work the magic, still have access to the money. So culinary and some actually sectors within the digital economy will continue to grow.
Okay.
Secondly, sustainability. This is a huge business. And guys, you need to look at opportunities in sustainability linked business.
Okay.
Anything that have sustainability impact and have good segue into reducing carbon footprint. We have startups dealing with food loss and food waste.
Yes.
Because people are getting really more and more conscious about climate change, environment. We have a collaborations, but each other chip in on tree planting and mangrove planting and coral reef restoration. And that company that started 3 years ago is now worth $150 million.
Okay.
So we believe these type of ideas. And another big business is health.
Okay.
Not that my earlier investment is going public soon, but health is going to be a huge issue.
Yes.
Because you deal with pandemic and then now you have kidney issues.
Yep.
There are many other potential
Health risks.
hopefully, but health concerns is going to be
Something to look out for.
very, very key. So in 2023, I'm generally very optimistic, although I'm always cautious.
Okay.
And from the government side, we will ensure together, me and Bu Yohana will facilitate, we will make sure that we will not stand in your way to grow, but we will facilitate with regulations that help businesses, that create investments and create good jobs.
But that's the key, to always be optimistic, but always be cautious. All right, thank
It's
you,
just a question,
Minister.
sorry. Is sustainability a bit of an issue here? I know it receives, again, lots of investment, Singapore particularly. The only issue is here, again, it's that you've got a lot of the economy is based on things which are not in sustainability, right? So there's more pushback here than there is, for example, in Singapore, which is you're supposed to be turning completely green, whereas they can do that because they are a service city with good banking city. But it's harder and harder to do that when you are a lot of people rely on some of the things that we're trying to move out, right? This is one of the challenges I see here. Do you see that as a concern?
I think it's unstoppable. People are going through sustainability. Even the bigger companies, they want to not, and I disagree when people are saying that they're greenwashing. They're actually thinking very seriously how they could produce with the more environmental friendly, using technology, using approaches that has not been
Acting.
sort of like a factor before. So for instance, even palm oil companies, people continue to invest in palm, but they will make sure that the practices that palm oil companies will be more environmentally
More responsible.
responsible.
Yes.
Coal, it's a gigantic chunk of the Indonesian economy. Would people stop investing in coal? No. But banks are now saying, we will not lend you, or we will lend you with if you follow this criteria.
Yeah.
So I think Indonesia will continue to have three pillars: consumptions, natural resources, and this huge buildup on infrastructures as business opportunity.
Yeah.
But sustainability, I think, will here to stay. People start thinking more how to transform their business more sustainably.
And the people who are more green conscious are growing by the numbers each and every day.
Especially when you have two daughters like me who kept on reminding me what I've been doing to the government regulations to help climate action.
Okay, then I think this is a time to say thank you to the daughters of Mr. Sandy for always probably maintaining that reminder for the future generations to come, because they care very much.
Generation, Sarah.
Yes. Well, all generations should take that into account. Minister.
The second daughter made me stop ordering shark fin.
Yeah.
Said it's cruel. It should not be in our table, and something like that. And that probably pushed technology into making shark fin that is more sustainable.
Yeah.
Meaning that you will need to find a food that similar to shark fin and have the same sort of like taste, but not
being cruel to animals. Yes. Well, and that's one of the challenges, as well as educating people that economies and also being green or going green does not have to be two opposite polars, but it can actually go hand in hand. And this can be seen from all the growing small companies in sustainability. All right. Thank you very much for the question, Martyn, for adding on as well. And now, are there still time for one last question? Oh, I see there's a raise of numbers here. Three questions, but since we have a very limited time, I think there's room for one more. Rapid questions. There we go. We have 5 minutes. Three fast questions.
Rapid question and rapid answer.
Challenge accepted, Minister.
Yes.
Okay, 4.
30 seconds each.
Okay, there you go. So we can start. Can I see another raise your hands, please? Okay, 2 questions. 4. Okay, for 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
So 2 minutes.
All right, there you go.
2 minutes for the mic to get there.
We can start from the back and then we can go forward. Okay. Silakan.
Go.
Thank you. My name is Bhumi from Varta. We are a property technology startup.
Yep. Remember 30 seconds?
We are a beneficiary of such a good geospatial data. So we do it in a good data collection with the public and private. Now I'm curious, how does the geospatial data say help sustainability, climate growth, and probably the shared economy?
Okay, great. Next.
I'm gonna ask all the questions first.
Yes, I'm typing it. I'm writing it down.
Good evening. Sebelumnya saya mau terima kasih kepada Mas Menteri atas pembukaan ini melalui video.
Yes.
Thank you, Pak Menteri.
Hari Ratu, one of the best Padang food ever.
Okay, I would like to ask a question to Martyn. I'm doing the same thing from Hitting Road, which is the associate for all the retailers in Indonesia. And mostly we are opening in the mall, shopping malls. And do you think this your database intelligence location can support us to find which location for retail, whether the fashion or F&B can be?
Okay, thank you very much. Next. Please, sir. Remember, once again, on mic, 30 seconds. Afternoon.
Chris Rand, British Chamber of Commerce. Next month, in 2 or 3 weeks, Indonesia will be the proud host of the
G20.
and just before the B20. Sandy, question to you: what would you like to see as hostess, the outcomes of that particular forum?
Thank you.
Final one.
Hello, Pak Menteri.
Hi.
Thank you. My name is Aris Cesar, coming from Roxy Group.
have
Okay.
services for digital pharmacists as a public policy. Your technology this week, Sugito was present like demo with our chairman, and this is I'm bringing the digital transformation services for a public policy. Actually, that's the problem is same with you. Educational, and then even our owner, the chairman, is just knowing about the real special.
Yep.
This is good idea because I want to expand without stealing again.
Sorry, kind reminder. We have the time running out. The question.
My point is, but you have a lesson development. Have a note with the regulations of like Perda 1 Nomor 2014 as Pemprov DKI is not belong your technology. So it is you have collaborated with the PPN, but we need like a big effort. Regulation is very hard in Indonesia, actually Jakarta. So we need to be more about advancing regulations.
Advancing regulations. Okay, thank you very much for the question.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So we can start from the questions. Design for Martyn first, please.
So the first question was about
How can geospatial data help MSMEs? And then the second was, should we do it one by one? Or do you want me to pull all the questions
No,
here?
I mean, I think the first geospatial, actually with the sustainability, it's something we've only recently looked at now.
Yep.
This is probably because we brought Min in. Min's from Singapore, so he's very, very involved with sustainability and is looking at ways to actually work with people. We had a meeting a few weeks ago with, what's the company? The guy in Singapore? It doesn't matter, but basically they also have the data in relation to sustainability. They're trying to build, trying to cut down the carbon footprint in Indonesia. So we're looking at, if that data is available, we can map that data in a more effective way.
Okay.
We do rely on the data being available. We're not a data provider. We have to find the data and put it in our system.
Okay. And how can you support malls and also retails with the
Right,
data?
malls and retail. Actually, another thing. We're currently at the moment looking at indoor mapping because it's an issue Ilami brought up with us, our head of sales, that whereas some companies like XXI, they now want to do standalone, and companies like Janji Jiwa, they do better standalone because of the delivery time for Gojek, etc. But we do realize that some companies only open in malls. So therefore, what we're looking at currently is to provide IoTs. This is part of our next year plan, to provide IoTs in malls to collect this data. So we are then able to provide whereabout in the mall you should be. We can still tell you which mall you should be in based on the data, but there's only 550 malls in Indonesia, so that's not as useful to you. So what we need to do is indoor mapping using the IoTs.
Okay. And then the third one was about advancing regulations. The advancing regulations.
All right, the regulations. Yeah, I mean, we're not consultancy. What we do is we collect any data that's available and put it in one system. And then our IP is not the data, because actually anyone can collect data in Indonesia. Our IP is the software we built to manage that data and actually make predictions.
Right.
So with predictive analytics, you can just come into our office, buy our software, and next week it's in your office. So if there's particular data out there that can be added to our system, there's no problem with that. But what we generally do, we're not providing legal services. We're just telling you that based on that data, based on your previous, what's worked for you in the past, basically, 10 best stores, look at your commonality, and our software will help you predict where you should open next 10%.
Okay. Thank you, Martyn, for the answer. And next, the last question. G20 and B20, 3 outcomes.
Reshaping the global health architecture. We learned so much from COVID. Indonesia's 270 million, relatively considered as best practice when it comes to rolling out vaccines. 17,000 islands, but we achieved fully vaccinated within very remarkable time. So this is something that we want G20 countries to adopt and to be able to share.
Yeah.
Secondly is digital transformations for equitable growth, meaning that the transformations in digital should not widen the inequality, but also look at how we could grow together.
Yeah.
And that's why the theme of Recover Together is
Much stronger.
And finally is the transitions to green economy. And we want to really invest big in terms of green economies. Indonesia is so blessed because we have the new and renewable energy, we have the biodiversity, we have the forest that was destroyed in the past, and actually now an opportune time for them. One of the companies that we invested actually restore the peatland and use geospatial technology. You should talk to them, by the way, in the next slide.
I'll get the number later.
They create a sanctuary, and actually we install CCTV to feed into the satellite, and we're seeing as we restore the peatland, many animals are making the passage to go into that
Area.
10 to 15,000 hectares of sanctuary. So you see, you have not seen it's very, very exotic animals, elephants, tigers, big cats coming into the area, and we actually monitor them, and we sell the carbon to the exchange system.
Yeah.
So this is the transitions to green economy that we want to do.
Okay.
And something like this is, I believe, would be the key of achieving Indonesia to go to be the fifth, among the fifth largest economies of the world by 2040.
All right. Thank you very much. Can I have another round of applause? Thank you, Mr. Sandiaga Uno. Thank you, Mr. Martyn Terpilowski. And ladies and gentlemen, since due to the little bit of time available, that was the last question that can be proposed during, especially that was the rapid question session. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your participation, both of who was here offline, also online. But before we end, I would like to invite to come up onto the stage to take a picture together. First of all, to Mr. Tamura Masami, to please come up to the stage, and also Mr. Virgo Erastajaya, Ibu Iwana Roma Astuti, silakan Bu, please do come up on stage, and also Mr. Minton to please join together to take a picture. And for all the guests to also prepare yourself, because after this we'll be turning around to take a picture together with everyone in the room. So I will help with the countdown. Everyone ready? To all our media friends, our documentation team. In 3, 2, 1. Once again, 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you very much. And one more photo session to all the documentation team, to all the camera person, pada tim dokumentasi bisa maju ke atas panggung, and to everyone who's up here on stage to please face the screen so we can take a picture together with all the audiences.
All right.
Right? Kita together bisa merapat. We can come together towards the middle. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, everyone here in the room. All right, we'll do it quickly. We only have one. Okay, take a picture in 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you very much. Give another round for the session. And with this, we have ended today's webinar. Please give a round of applause. And now we invite the speakers, Martyn Terpilowski and also Minister Sandi, to please follow our committee towards the doorstop location. Kepada pembicara kita dan juga teman-teman media, kami persilakan untuk melanjutkan dengan sesi Sandiaga Uno. We invite you to the doorstop area, which will be inside the room. Please do follow the committee. To Martyn and Minister and also to all the media friends and also the committee to please help. Buat teman-teman panitia bisa tolong diarahkan untuk rekan-rekan media bisa mempersiapkan diri Iya, kami persilakan untuk dapat maju ke depan ruangan dan mengikuti arahan teman-teman panitia untuk bersiap melakukan sesi wawancara doorstop. Sekali lagi kami undang kepada Pak Menteri, Pak Sandiaga Uno,